here at Cultaholic, we've been delving into the more disturbing moments in WWE history. Why? Well, we're not sure really. Part curiosity, part masochistic torture, I think. We've detailed some of the more notorious angles from WWE's golden era and from Monday Night Raw, and it just wouldn't be right to exclude SmackDown now, would it? Raw's little brother has been on our screens for 21 years now, and like its older sibling, has had its fair share of controversial, regrettable, and downright disturbing moments. We've seen manipulation, body horror, torture, all kinds of assault, even attempted murder, all committed on SmackDown. A far cry from the straight-up wrestling of George Hackenschmidt and Lou Thez, we're sure you'll agree. But out of all of SmackDown's disturbing moments, which are the 10 most distressing? That's right, kids, we're listing them. Of course we are. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic.com, and these are the 10 most disturbing moments in SmackDown history. Join us. Potential trigger warnings ahead. Number 10, Torrie, Dawn and Al. Pre-Women's Revolution, a lot of WWE's female talent weren't given the most highbrow material to work with. Bra and panties matches, liberal use of the word bitch, whatever the whole Piggy James fiasco was, and the curious case of Torrie Wilson, Dawn Marie, and Torrie's dad Al. Torrie was best known from her time in WCW and had recently come off a face run with Tajiri at the tail end of the invasion. Dawn Marie was fresh off a run as Mr. McMahon's on-screen legal assistant after cutting her teeth in ECW, so naturally the best use of both women was to put them in some kind of weird pseudo-fetish angle. To get inside Torrie's head, Dawn Marie started a relationship with Wilson's dad, Al. Few weeks of catty comments, attacks, and the sight of an old man in his undies. The two were soon engaged, but Dawn Marie agreed to call it off if Torrie slept with her. Dawn Marie went back on her promise, married Al, then shagged him to death. Yes, really, shagged him to death. The two divas then had a fight in front of Al's open coffin during his televised funeral. Honestly, this is an actual wrestling storyline and not some half-baked /fiction I found on Reddit. Sure, extortion, blackmail, and titillation have all been par for the course in WWE programming over the years, but killing a character on air after too much good loving, never mind the whole blackmail bordering on sexual assault thing between soon-to-be stepmother and daughter, makes this one a bit too on the nose for most of us. And if you disagree, you need to go and have a big old wash, you filthy toe rag. Number 9, Orton, Ray and Eddie. Eddie Guerrero was truly one of the best and was cruelly taken from us too soon. A hero to the Latino and non-Latino wrestling fans alike, Guerrero's legacy was carried on screen by close friend Rey Mysterio. But what started as a heartfelt tribute to a fallen friend soon became sycophantic, cloying, and was eventually used for unnecessary heat. Mysterio received a monster push in the wake of Eddie's passing, winning the 2006 Royal Rumble around 2 months after Guerrero's death. Ray soon crossed paths with Randy Orton, with the two vying for the World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle's title going into WrestleMania 22. The SmackDown after Ray's Rumble win, Orton came to the ring to lambast Mysterio, claiming that Eddie was laughing at the Master of the 619 and that Guerrero wasn't looking down on Ray from heaven, but was actually in hell. Now, we all know that Orton is a fantastic heel, capable of true excellence in the role, but by using real-life tragedy, he garnered the wrong kind of heat with the fans. The whole episode was horrible, really. You could tell that Orton wasn't comfortable delivering his lines, and has gone on to state that he wasn't comfortable with the whole storyline full stop. Fellow wrestlers Mick Foley and Chris Benoit were also angry with this whole angle, from the needlessly horrid promo to the continuing exploitation of their friend's death. Again, this was barely 2 months after Eddie's passing. Number 8, the big funeral. After years as Cobb County, Georgia's favourite prison guard, and a number of other professions in WCW, including the most miscast member of the NWO, Bossman decided to become the Big Bellend, enforcer of the corporation, and generally horrible fella. Many fell victim to his ruthless streak, including the Big Show Paul White, with the two engaging in an extremely heated feud in 1999. Big Show had the upper hand when he dropped a rubbish truck onto Bossman's car, but all this did was piss Bossman off to a ridiculous degree. Bossman proceeded to give a eulogy for Big Show's deceased dad that proclaimed he would soon be eaten by worms, and ended with, "If I had a son as stupid as you, I'd wish for cancer, so I would die too." Absolutely awful stuff, like Dr. Seuss for sociopaths. He didn't stop there though. During the Big Show's dad's funeral, filmed for WWF TV because why the hell not, Bossman arrived in his police cruiser with a massive megaphone speaker, taking the piss out of the entire White family and being a general arsehole. Bossman then ran Show over, tied the casket to his car, and drove off. All Show could do was dive on the coffin and cling on like some kind of weird boogie boarder. The coffin surfing was a bit campy in execution, but the whole situation was just needlessly vicious, made doubly disturbing by the fact that Big Show's dad was actually dead. Number 7, Vince vs. Stephanie. Good old McMahon family drama, the catalyst for some of WWE's biggest moments and some of its most self-absorbed. But when Vince decided he had beef with his daughter Stephanie, yeah, it got a bit horrible really. Steph was making waves as GM of SmackDown in 2002, engaging in an on-screen rivalry with Eric Bischoff. Stephanie continued in this role well into 2003, but her tenure as head of the Blue brand was soon to end, because she didn't want her dad having a bit of how's your father with Sable. We'd been down this road before with Vince, Trish Stratus, and a zombified Linda McMahon, but this felt different. Vince, wanting to get his end away, decided that the best course of action was to terrorize his daughter out of a job, getting big brutes such as Albert and Brock pissing Lesnar to absolutely batter her in an effort to quit. It was really nasty stuff. This wasn't like when Shane and Vince went at it leading up to Mania 17, this was basically a one-sided drubbing for weeks on end. We always say that Shane isn't a wrestler, but compared to Stephanie, he's Bruno Sammartino. At this point in her career, aside from a brief run with the WWF Women's title in 2000, Stephanie barely ever got in the ring. This all led to a controversial father-daughter I Quit match at No Mercy 2003, a match which saw Vince beat the piss out of his youngest child before choking her with a lead pipe. Just nasty business, really. Number 6, Boogeyman and JILLIAN. The Boogeyman was fun, wasn't he? Walking about like a piss 1930s cartoon character, slapping clocks about a bit and chomping on worms. What a barrel of laughs. In what could be seen as a desperate attempt to create a new spooky lad to take over from Kane and Undertaker, Boogeyman was a beacon of unease and weirdness during his SmackDown run in the mid-2000s. Remember his first major feud though? That's right, it was with JBL, and during an appearance on Piper's Pit, the Boogster appeared out of nowhere to harass Layfield and his associate Jillian Hall. Boogeyman had previously stuffed worms down Hall's skirt, which in itself is all sorts of wrong, but he decided to fully dive into crazy water when he sniffed, licked, and ate a growth off of Hall's face. Sometimes commentary referred to it as a mole, sometimes a growth, but whatever it was part cancerous tumour, part Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It was very unsettling and legitimately stomach-churning. And what did it achieve, really? What was the point in making Hall wear this hideous prosthetic on her face, other than the weird gasp/pop when Boogie ate it up like leftover pizza? The result was that Boogeyman came off less like Undertaker and more like Bastion Booger in leather pants. Number 5, Edge tortures Paul Bearer. Edge is great, there's no question about it. The most decorated superstar in WWE history has a long and glittering career full of genre-defining moments, genuine firsts, and memories that will live on for years. He is arguably the all-time MVP of SmackDown, with apologies to MVP. But his feud with Kane, well, it wasn't great. The Rated R superstar was chasing his 900th reign with the World Heavyweight title in late 2010, with Big Goldie around the waist of the Big Red Rascal. So what do you do when the most maniacal, destructive beast in WWE history has a hold of the top prize? You beat him at his own game. So yeah, big friendly good guy Edge, in an effort to play mind games with Kane, kidnapped Kane's dad Paul Bearer and routinely tortured him. It's worth pointing out that Edge was the face here, as he frequently battered and tormented a defenseless man approaching 60. It made for genuinely uncomfortable viewing as Edge belittled, harassed, force-fed, and generally made Bearer's life a living hell. For his part, Kane acted like a big, slow, withering idiot, a far cry from the demonic force of evil we knew and loved. What's more, this storyline dragged on for ages, growing with discomfort and making Edge look more of a prick with each passing week. Neither man looked great during this saga, which ended when Kane accidentally pushed Paul Bearer off a ladder, writing him off of TV for over 2 years, until 2012 when Bearer returned and Kane locked him in a freezer, seemingly murdering him. Lovely. Number 4, Al Snow eats his dog. Bloody hell, the Big Boss Man was a total bastard in the Attitude Era, wasn't he? We've already detailed the Big Show saga, but Boss Man was so annoyed with Al Snow that he decided to go to catering college just to get one over on the hapless fool. Let's rewind a bit, shall we? Al Snow decided to ditch Head and replace it with an adorable little chihuahua named Pepper, no relation to Mongo's little pup Pepe, we think. Incensed that Snow had bested him for the hardcore title, the Big Boss Man dog-napped Pepper and promised to return him if Snow agreed to give him a rematch. Snow agreed, but Boss Man didn't deliver the pooch. Roll on, and a week later, the two agreed to sit down for a civilized chat about their heated rivalry because nothing could go wrong there. So Snow went to Boss Man's hotel room where the big lad from Cobb County had prepared a delicious meal, the sweetheart. And then, as Al tucked in, the awful truth was revealed. The meal he was eating was his own dog. Let me repeat, the Big Boss Man killed a dog and made its owner eat it. This is some messed up South Park weirdness, which, as disturbing as it is, made it even more horrifying when you realise that Boss Man went to all this effort over the hardcore title. Has there been a superstar in the history of WWE who has overreacted to situations more than the Big Boss Man? Rikishi running over Stone Cold was less hateful than this, Christ alive. Number 3, Heidenreich and Cole. At 6 foot tall and built like a packed fridge, John Heidenreich was your typical Vince McMahon guy, but rather than be given the star treatment, he was subject to a ton of crap gimmicks and storylines. Debuting as a possessed madman, WWE realised this was crap, so took him off TV to rejig his character. After being pitched as an unfrozen Nazi stormtrooper, yes, an unfrozen Nazi stormtrooper to an appalled Vince McMahon, Big John instead re-debuted as a psychopath with Paul Heyman in his corner. But a psychopath who read rubbish poetry. That's important too. After a few weeks on TV spouting his disaster pieces and interfering in matches, the Heidster turned his attention to Michael Cole of all people. So what did he do to little Michael with the frosted tips? Well, he took him backstage and seemingly, well, I think this picture explains everything. I know. Heidenreich has since stated that the idea for this angle came to Vince McMahon in a dream, then Steph pitched it to him as a bit like that scene in Pulp Fiction. With Michael Cole an obvious stand-in for Ving Rhames, we're sure you'll agree. This angle achieved nothing, and due to its tone-deaf execution, inadvertently made light of serious sexual assault. Both men moved on, with Heidenreich eventually turning face and winning tag gold with Animal as the new Legion of Doom. Apparently, Heidenreich's previous behaviour wasn't enough of a red flag for Animal when picking a new tag partner. Number 2, Kurt gets Bestial. Oh, it seems that SmackDown didn't get enough of sexual assault with Heidenreich and Cole, and just 1 year later decided to take the idea down a different route with Kurt Angle and Charmel, Booker T's wife. You would be excused in thinking that a story between wrestling machine Kurt Angle and decorated veteran Booker T would be easy to book and straightforward, but no, you idiot. To really make it work, the WWE just had to turn Angle into some sort of animalistic predator. Sexy Kurt became obsessed with the future queen, pinning her in a highly suggestive manner during a handicap match on SmackDown before creepily extolling his feelings for her during a backstage interview. So far, so bad. It's when Kurt started stalking Charmel that things truly went horrible. One segment involved Kurt attacking Charmel in her dressing room behind closed doors, insinuating that an actual sexual assault was taking place. This horrific event was bookended by Kurt referring to Charmel as a gutter slut and longing to have bestiality sex with her. Now okay, we realise that Kurt probably misspoke when he said he wanted bestiality sex, but still, bloody hell mate. Nobody liked this. Even Kurt has spoken publicly about his dislike for this angle, a sour note in his career for sure. Number 1, Muhammad Hassan and The Undertaker. Muhammad Hassan made his WWE debut in 2004. An Arab American, Hassan was hurt by his treatment by American society in a post-9/11 world. A sensitive angle that, if played right, could have made for compelling television. WWE being WWE though, had to make it crass, sensationalist, and utterly tasteless. Rather than being a victim of societal prejudice, WWE turned Hassan into an angry as hell textbook foreign villain, a problem WWE has had throughout its existence. Things went way too far though when Hassan and manager Daivari got into beef with The Undertaker. Daivari took on the dead man and was routinely squashed as Hassan dropped to his knees in prayer on the entrance ramp. Suddenly, Taker was ambushed by several men in balaclavas and combat gear who beat him down and choked him with piano wire before carrying Big Evil away. Much like when WWE turned Sergeant Slaughter into an Iraqi sympathizer during the Gulf War, this angle was met with widespread condemnation from fans and and the general public alike. Further outrage occurred as this episode of SmackDown aired on July 7th, coinciding with the terrorist attacks in London. National media outlets in America such as Variety and the New York Post poured scorn on WWE, and SmackDown broadcaster UPN allegedly demanded that WWE remove HASSAN from all future programming. WWE needed a get-out clause, so Undertaker squashed HASSAN at the Great American Bash before giving him the last ride through the stage, leaving him in a pool of his own blood. Muhammad Hassan was never mentioned on WWE TV again.